ask you guys something quick before I forget. What percentage of men do you think die a virgin? Just if you had to take a guess. I have no fucking idea.
I can give you a stat that's not the exact same stat, but
pretty
just
close.
from the general genealogical statistics that have come across from studying the genes of different populations, supposedly going back in time from archaeological.
Sounds
digs and
pretty
stuff.
legit.
But the reality is that two-thirds of the genetic variation within humanity is passed down through the female line. And that means necessarily that less than half of the men ever have children.
See, I did not know that.
Yep. Okay.
But that's why Professor Phil's here.
This is my answer to that question. Yeah. Everyone listening to, I want you to guys think of an answer as well. What percentage of the male population dies virgin? After hearing what Phil said, I'm going to raise my estimate up a little bit. I'm just going to guess 30. I would say 30%. Say about a third.
Yeah, I was thinking that too.
What are you saying, Phil?
Yeah, it's probably
around
it's a pretty sad state of affairs.
That is. And you got to think, like, once you hit a certain age, like, once you get into your 40s or 50s and it still hasn't happened yet, then I would say you could almost guarantee it's not going to happen. Once it gets to that late in life.
I mean, I don't promote this, but once you get to that, you might want to, like,
just pay for it?
Yeah,
okay.
You might want to just at least test it out, you know. I'm not promoting. I'm just saying. I don't condone that action, but I'm just saying.
Yeah. There's this weird thing that, like, males have, though. I will say this, especially growing up when you're a teenager, that, like, it's like a race to lose your virginity. Mm-hmm. With the males, at least. I don't know. I'm not a woman, so I can't speak if they feel the same way. I'm sure certain ones do, but for us though, I feel like we all fucking feel that way. At least when you're going through those stages of puberty, you know.
Yeah. The sad part is that anybody with two brain cells together can perform a thought experiment with a hypothetical. You just say to yourself, well, okay, if I have this hypothetical population of 100 guys who are 25 years old in the prime of their life, and you can choose what the rewind of their life looks like in order to end up with the best result, having them all compete with each other to have sex as early on as possible is probably the single worst scenario. But nobody's ever going to say that.
Well, and at the time, that's all we're fucking thinking about, dude. You know, let's just be real. That's why we're not thinking about trying to compete with each other on who's going to make the most money or who's going to be the best football player, who's going to be the best basketball player or whatever, like competing with each other. And
even if that's 100% true, it does absolutely nothing to the hypothetical I just established.
Right, but it's still true. So how long do you think men have been competing with each other for the race to lose their virginity? Because you guys are both older and you both feel the same way as I do. So it goes back to your generation at least, and I bet it goes much further than that.
I'm sure it's been in every
since
generation.
Since we were fucking Neanderthals, dude, and cavemen. They were probably competing back then. Males were.
None of that ever happened.
What do you mean?
Cavemen and Neanderthals? What?
You don't believe in Neanderthals?
Yeah, when did that happen?
Well, according to what they taught me in school,
okay,
I don't know when.
And
how did
it happened? But it happened a very long time ago.
And how did they figure that out?
Hold on. Our Neanderthals were competing with each other, the male Neanderthals, to fuck and impregnate as many other women Neanderthals as possible. And you know what, Phil? Whether you want to admit it or not, that's true.
They found it out because they dug stuff up out of the ground.
Well, the thing is, the males in general, they have a very high sex drive usually. So,
in general, there's overlap.
Yeah. So usually
every single characteristic in humanity there's a distinction. You're going to see two bell curves that represent men and women, and the lower end and the higher end of one or the other are always going to overlap in the middle.
Yep.
Mm-hmm.
But that does not mean that the two groups are the same. And
Yep.
that's what's
that could bring us down a whole nother topic.
That's
So
a
we can do
whole
multiple
podcast,
podcasts.
yeah.
But I agree with you.
Yep.
Yes,
I also
agree
with
with you.
Phil there. Yep.